Welcome to the HMG Executive Leadership Spotlight, where we showcase the best of the best global business technology executives demonstrating innovation, driving disruption, reimagining and reinventing the enterprise, the customer journey, new business models, and new go-to-market opportunities in a safe and secure enterprise. And now, here's our host, Hunter Muller, founder and CEO of HMG Strategy.
Welcome to the HMG Spotlight. We're here with Eric Christopher, CEO and co-founder of Zylo. Hey, Eric, welcome to today's program.
Hunter, thanks. Glad to be here.
Awesome. Great to see you. Hey, talk to us a little bit about SaaS and why SaaS is becoming so important for the overall enterprise architecture. Anything that a tech leader is working on right now touches SaaS, right?
Absolutely. I think we've been in this kind of world of software's been eating the world, if you remember that, for a long time. And that was, I don't know if that was 10 or even 15 years ago, but the idea that, we're automating and we're using software to do a lot of things. And certainly in the last couple years, and especially most recently with us all living in a virtual world, relying on technology, first and foremost, SaaS, software as a service, is the delivery model of today and the future of every company that's innovating, and software is being adopted at an incredible rate, and businesses are relying on it to connect, especially in this virtual world. So, just in general, I think software and SaaS has really become has moved from just something that has enabled employees to do work to a requirement, and it's how you do. It's the first and the last and everything in between of everything you're doing your job is in software. So SaaS is as important as your office space, as your employee premiums and benefits that you're paying for, training enablement. SaaS is everything now.
Eric, talk to us about Zylo, what you're all about, your vision for Zylo, and what's the problem in the enterprise that you're looking to work on?
In most companies, you've got companies that have thousands of employees in many cases, and they're using hundreds of different SaaS applications to run their business. There's a lot of efficiency and a lot of things that have been gained with technology, but it is very, very difficult to keep organizations on the same playbook related to where data lives, security implications of using a lot of third-party vendors to run core businesses. And also, software is distributed across, an organization. So not just, you think of IT when you think of software, but you got to think about finance, managing expenses. You got to think about marketing, like CMOs who have historically bought a lot of software. So you have an opportunity in the organization to really understand, every business application, every SaaS application vendor you're using, and use that to drive your strategy. And up to this point, there hasn't been a platform or a focused approach to software to centralizing the visibility. So the pain points are, visibility and optimization for costs, and also optimization to reduce risks.
So when you think of the hybrid workplace, do you think it's here to stay? And how will it affect the overall enterprise architecture in SaaS?
We are focused a lot on the idea of employee experience, and even me as a CEO, standalone of SaaS management, I care about creating a great environment for our employees to work, and whether that's at home, in the office. So, admittedly, I'm not really sure, just like anyone, of what the next, 1 year, 2 year, 5 year outlook's going to look related to how, where employees, what the adopted, ways that people are going to work, if it's going to be more in the office, hybrid, or fully remote. I think it's going to be a spectrum. The one constant, though, I think what I think about that with that question is what will remain the same regardless of where we end up working together. And it's all about, really SaaS is the new workplace, or applications in general. You're working from your iPhone, your Android, your desktop, your iPad. How we're connecting today, through two screens, can be effective in many ways that we work together. So I think the important thing is for organizations to really have a software and people strategy first and foremost, how you communicate, where data lives, what best of breed applications, and then you can apply that to whatever is right for your company, whether that's hybrid or full in office or or fully remote. But regardless, we're all in software.
When you think of Zylo, do you have a market and an industry sweet spot?
For us, we do believe long term that every single company in the world needs to professionally manage their SaaS vendors. So having, just like, if you're going to manage sales leads, you need Salesforce or a CRM. If you're managing your dollars, you need an ERP. And so I think that's inevitable. As we've started and built the category and looked for the organizations that had the most pain points, it's really larger companies that have an expense, first and foremost, where they're spending enough annually on software that you need people and prior to manage it, it's actually hitting, kind of bottom line and impacts. And then also, we're a software company, so we certainly need users and people that are focused in driving success with our platform. So we need leaders in a dedicated CIO and IT operations or software asset management team, or maybe even in finance, people like in procurement that are managing vendor relationships. So for us, we see companies that are the high growth SaaS companies themselves, 1,000 employee to 5,000 that were born in the cloud and everything they use is SaaS. And then all the way to the largest enterprises of the world that have, established software asset management practices, but are shifting very rapidly to the cloud and need, something to manage their SaaS vendors.
So what are the SaaS trends that you're seeing now in the market, and what's the future look like?
We have some industry benchmarks that we produce every year. We actually have an upcoming report, which is great. A couple things. Historically, we've always seen software growing in the average organization 20% year over year, just naturally organic. So it's a climbing, and if you think about that over just 4 or 5 years, you're doubling your total footprint of software spend. So last year was an increase of that, and we see that continually increasing as well. Also, we've seen that IT is putting more focus on software management and SaaS management. However, SaaS is growing at such a fast rate that IT, even though they're putting more focus on it, are actually managing and controlling less software in the organization. So last year through COVID, in our data, the business unit would have 40, it could be upwards of 40% plus of their software apps and spend would be out in the business. It was 27%, and then now it's increased to 42% in this last year. So what's happening is more employees are buying software, more business units are doing things, and not necessarily going back through IT. And that's not a bad thing, but it's the idea that the business software management is not only IT's responsibility, but also the business's.
So why do you think SaaS management is here to stay?
I think because just the idea that employees are really the ones that companies need to look to for innovation and for empowerment and getting things done for the company. There's so many successful companies right now that are employee-led software purchasing. I think Zoom is such a great example. I love stating the statistic that in the S1, every single $100,000 customer at that time started out as a single user free trial. And the idea that enterprise software would be only bought by executive evaluation and then top down is gone. There's still be instances with that, but most companies now are moving to consumption-based pricing models and ways to kind of start small and go up. You think of Twilio, you think of Datadog, you think of Snowflake, you think of Slack. They all start small and go big, and that's the future. IT will have to work in with the business and partner with many people in the organization to manage the complexity of hundreds or thousands of vendors in an organization.
When you think of the role of the CIO being more critical than ever in SaaS management, what do you think of?
I think of security and costs have always been a big, it's been a priority for the CIO. Security and then the idea of making sure that employees are have the tools they need to do their job. So you start thinking of employee experience. Employee experience over the last year has gone from, I think, where the CIO would be responsible for that, and it would kind of be a secondary concern of the CEO. I think now it's a number one concern. So I think the criticality of having a strategy on software and how employees are using software, everything from every single role in the company, what's their kind of best of breed stack applications, why are sales reps successful, why are engineers successful. That's the future, is that employees and the software they use, that kind of combination is what's going to separate high functioning, high performing organizations. So I think the criticality, security is constant, still always will be a concern, where your data lives, employee productivity and experience, managing costs. But the idea of that kind of future of the office employee experience, making sure employees are effective, is where everything is headed.
Interesting. When the pandemic hit at HMG, we focused in on leading courageously, leading fearlessly, fearless reinvention, reinventing the customer experience, the internal customer experience, and the external customer experience, and the complete go-to-market, new business models, new ideas. So in essence, rethinking this role of the CIO, and I think that's what you're suggesting.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's in the kind of what I've seen over the 5 years, that we've been doing this, is the majority of CIOs and IT leaders that I talk to now are embracing the idea that their job is to be a steward of the technology and leverage the business and kind of follow the data, follow where people are finding success, and then come in and be an advisor and help, if they're going to pick application strategies and things like that. It's no longer the idea that IT is responsible for having all of the information to make the right decisions. And so I think that's an exciting area to be in IT. Is I think in a lot of ways the CIO and IT are moving from the back office to the front office, and now you can actually tie, for example, good software usage and performance and collaboration to revenue performance versus just making sure your ticketing volume is down for completing employee complaints or something like that, right? That's always going to be a core thing, but now it's really more tied to performance.
Eric, I want to thank you for coming on today's HMG Spotlight. Great job. Congratulations with an incredibly successful company at Zylo, and looking forward to seeing you again soon.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to more time in the future with you.
We hope you found this episode of HMG's Executive Leadership Spotlight beneficial. The HMG Global Network, a network of 400,000 technology leaders and a media platform that delivers more than 1 million impressions per week, is a valuable source of insight, continuous learning, and peer-to-peer research based on the insights and experiences of world-class, top-tier technology executives. Leverage the HMG network. Go to hmgstrategy.com to find out more.